Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. I think this is going to be an interesting and fun topic, and the reason why I chose this topic is because you so often hear me say the successful and sustainable brands get their potential customers' attention. They keep their potential customers' attention, so they remain memorable, and then they engage their customers' emotions. But I don't think that I've really ever gone into a great deal of detail about exactly how you can go about getting your customers' attention. And I've been mulling over the fact that, with where we are living in a world that is increasingly operated in the online space, where we no longer have as many opportunities as we used to meet face to face, to have that real kind of, full-blown, full-color experience of being with other people and meeting them for the first time, where our first impressions are being made online. How do we physically make ourselves stand out from the rest of the crowd? So today, I want to talk about 10 tips for getting the attention and keeping the attention of your potential clients. Now, it might be that fear has been holding you back. And I found some fun little facts. Oh, Heather, you've joined me. It's lovely to see you. Thank you so much. I found some really fun little facts on Wikipedia. So one of the fears is called scopophobia, and this is the fear, sorry, where's it gone now? This is the fear that arises from us having experienced traumatic events as a child, so having been ridiculed, so not wanting to actually attract attention to ourselves and being quite attention averse. And then the other one is called emetophobia, and can you believe it? This is an extreme fear of eyes. So it's a fear of having eyes focused on you, or actually seeing other people's eyes looking in your direction. So has fear been holding you back? Because if so, deal with it. I think, go and see somebody who can help you. But as I was saying, successful and sustainable brands do three things, and these need to be your three rules. Alison's just come on. It's lovely to see you all the way from Durban. So firstly, you have to get your client's attention. Then you've got to keep your client's attention on you, and then you've got to emotionally engage your clients. So how do you do that without being cheesy? And I think it was last year sometime, I was watching this guy doing an online challenge. I can't even remember what this chap's name was, but he made such a poor impression on me. He used these cushions that you can buy with different emoticon faces on them, and he would start each video holding one of these cushions up with like a smiley face, or laughing face, or a crying face. He would start each video, training video, with one of those in front of his face. And yes, it was a huge big yellow cushion, so it certainly got your attention because of the color. But I actually, I thought it was so gimmicky that it was a complete turn off, and I ended up tuning out of his challenge and what he was trying to do. So my goal is to give you some really, really practical tips of how to get people's attention without being cheesy. So I was chatting to my husband last night, and I said to him, what gets your attention? What is it that makes you kind of perk up and, pay attention to? So he said, well, it's if something's different. So I said, okay, unpack that a little bit for me. So he said, if it's something out of the ordinary, so something different, something out of the ordinary, same, but different as far as I was concerned. So I asked him to unpack it a little bit more. So he said, well, say, things move in a particular pattern, and then you visually catch some kind of a break in that pattern. That'll catch my attention. So again, if we go back evolutionarily in terms of our development, and with a caveman scanning the savannah, we're always on the alert for something out of the ordinary, something that didn't belong, something that didn't fit, and that would catch our attention, because we would need to assess very, very quickly whether or not it was a threat or not. So I carried on chatting to my husband. So he said, well, motion certainly catches his attention. And I must say that motion definitely catches mine. And I think that is why video is just such a compelling medium for us to market ourselves, to use to market ourselves. Then color is definitely an eye-catching thing. And I was driving home from, being out earlier on today, and some of my neighbors were walking on the street, and they had these iridescent, like bright orange, jackets on, and you just couldn't miss them if you tried. Now, I'm not recommending that you wear luminescent orange or yellow clothes or jackets and things, but color definitely does attract attention, as does motion. And then the final thing that my husband said, which was also quite interesting, so he's a keen mountain biker, and he spoke about like when you do this whole series of jumps and everything, and you get to it, and you just feel like, yes, I've really nailed it. So I said, well, what was it about that? And he said, it's about the way it made me feel. Like it was so pleasurable and so much fun. And when I got to the end of it, I felt this immense sense of satisfaction and achievement. And, I won't forget that sensation. I want to go back to it. I want to try it again. So these are things, what I'm talking about here are various things that catch our attention, but then also keep our attention. So the example of my husband doing, that mountain biking track with a whole lot of, huge jumps and everything, and it stirring up all sorts of emotion and excitement and those kinds of things. He'll never forget that track, and he'll want to go back and back and back and do it. It's just like us making our clients want to come back and back and back and work with us. It makes us memorable and emotionally engaging. So don't let go of that. I'm not saying make like a mountain biking track, but it just is a good example. But going back to how we have evolved evolutionarily, I can normally never get that word out properly. The majority of our brain actually has neurons, or was created for sight. The majority of our brain, I think it's up to 70% or something, is dedicated to sight. So there's no getting away that whether you are meeting somebody in person for the first time, or whether you are putting yourself out on social media, that the way that people see you first is going to be the kicker in deciding whether or not you will attract their attention and possibly keep their attention for long enough to make enough of an impression to become memorable and emotionally engaging. And I'll never forget, in one of the online courses that I did, the person who was running the course was talking about Facebook ads, and she said there was this one Facebook ad where she had been standing against a wall and like pointing to the side, and with her eyes looking to the side as well. And then what she kind of put in over that was a little bit of information about the online whatever it was that she was advertising. And she said out of all the different ads that she tested for that particular thing that she was advertising, the one where her eye is going in the direction of where she wanted people to look was by far the most effective. And again, we see things like when in adverts where babies or puppies or whatever look in a particular direction, your eyes are drawn to look in the same direction as theirs. So eyes are incredibly important, and hopefully you don't suffer from a metaphobia, which is a fear of eyes. But moving on, because eyes and sight is so important, that means that one of our biggest weapons in our arsenal is using color. Okay, so having a really distinctive bright pop of color in terms of the clothing that we wear. Now, you would have seen in terms of my branding, white is one of my brand colors. I've got the dusty pink, I've got different shades of pink, maroon, and so on. So I try very hard when I am showing up online to make sure that I always show up in my corporate colors so that they become more and more strongly associated with me. And you'll know, if you are South African and live in South Africa, there was a kind of branch off of a clothing store called Edgar's here in South Africa, where they just sold cosmetics, and the icon for it was a red square, and it was called Red Square, and you simply had to see a red square and you would associate it really, really strongly with the not only the clothing shop, but also the cosmetics shop. So color is incredibly important in terms of the effect that you want to have. I saw that my signal seemed to freeze just now, so do just let me know if you are having any troubles picking me up. So I wanted to just go through a couple of different colors and you know what the major associations are with them. So there's red, obviously, which is mostly associated with power and action, decision making. Blue is generally associated with professional people, very strongly associated with banks, and also it has this kind of connotation of trustworthiness. Now see, I just froze again. So once again, a request to just send me an emoji or something to let me know that I'm still coming through. Pink, I wouldn't say it's my favorite color, and I don't know how I actually ended up with it as a corporate color, but I'm very happy with the result. But pink is associated, thanks Alison, thank you so much. Pink is associated with kind of getting in touch with your higher self. Dusty pink certainly is associated with that, but ordinary pink with excitement and boldness. Yellow, we know that yellow is extremely attention getting. A lot of the if you're driving along a road and there are roadworks, a lot of the signage and everything will be in yellow to show you that there's a detour or danger. They don't do it in red, funnily enough, they do it in yellow to warn you. So pay attention to that. It's attention getting, it's bright, and it makes us feel happy, sunshiny. If we look at green, green is associated with obviously with the environment, with health, and then also, interestingly enough, and this is particularly probably in the States, it's associated with the color of money. So if you've got green in your corporate logo, I think you're onto a good thing. You could be printing money. Purple is associated with royalty, with elegance, with wisdom, prestige, and authority. Gold is associated with wealth, with pedigree, and with elegance. Orange, now this is very interesting. There are a couple of banks that have opened in South Africa where their color scheme has been orange, which is very left of center for banks, because banks normally stick with the whole blue palette of colors. And what is interesting is that orange stands for cutting edge. It makes people feel like the company's cutting edge, progressive, fun, playful, and has energy. So actually cutting edge and progressive are quite nice characteristics to associate with a banking brand if you think about it. Brown is earthy again and associated with comfort and relaxation. It's not one of my favorite colors, and you certainly wouldn't ever see it coming up in one of my logos, but that's just me. And then black is modern, exciting, mysterious, and dramatic. So there's just a couple of ways that using different colors you can get something is also the color of resilience. Which one, Elle? You'll have to tell me. One of the colors that I've mentioned is also the color of resilience. I know there's a little bit of a lag on the Facebook Lives, but I'm intrigued now. Okay, I'll wait for you to pop it into the comments. Let me carry on in the meantime. So, oh, orange. Oh my goodness. Orange is the color of resilience. I would never, ever have thought that. I've certainly learned something new. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Sure. So, the first tip that I've given you is about eye contact and the direction that your gaze needs to go in. The second tip is about using and abusing color to put across, to make yourself firstly stand out like an exclamation mark, and also to give underlying messages around what you stand for professionally. The third tip is less is more. So remember that neuroscience tells us that one of the things that our brain really, really doesn't like is clutter. And so it's always important when you are showing up professionally to keep what is around you as undistracting as possible. So minimal kind of distractions around you wherever possible. So try and keep, your walls, your background, everything very clean, very simple, and very brand authentic. So the brain doesn't like clutter. Then we all have, when we first come into contact with someone or a brand for the first time, what happens is that there's like an anchoring that takes place in our brain. So there'll be something that will stick out about that particular brand in our minds, and we will probably always come back to the very first association that we had with the person or the business, whatever it was that we've come into contact with. So this is where you could use something like a distinctive pose. And I've spoken so many times about the value of having a professional photo shoot done. It really is one of the best investments you can ever make in your business. So in that photo shoot, creating a distinctive pose or even a facial expression that people will come to associate with you and as part of your overall brand look and feel. So remember, you're pulling a whole lot of different things together to create an overall effect now to get people's attention. The other thing that does get attention is social proof. So these are things like testimonials and case studies. You can do case studies yourself on clients that you've worked with. You can kind of look at trends in terms of people that you've worked with over the years and what has happened and publish your own case studies. But that gives credibility now to the overall presence that we are trying to create. And we know that 90% of buying decisions are made at the subconscious level and based on emotion, and we then justify them with logic. So remember all the time that when we want to stand out, we are, I don't want to say playing with people's emotions, but we need to appeal to people's emotions, and we need to make sure that we are so honed in on who it is that we want to work with that we can show up as a professional brand that will appeal to them on an emotional level. And you've only got 50 milliseconds, and I didn't even try and time how short that was to make your first impression on a target audience. It's just impossibly short. So remember that today, with all of these distractions going on, our brains don't like clutter. You have literally got the blink of an eye within which to get somebody's attention. What is interesting is that we process visual material or pictures 60,000 times faster than we process text. So again, the importance of beautifully branded photographs, lovely brand shoots, and also creating, creating videos and training talks, or just, videos that give like a tip or two to people. It helps you to stand out. It helps you to get people's attention. And as I said earlier, a large majority of our brain, overall brain, is dedicated to the processing of visual signals that we get. So the way that we consistently come across and put ourselves across just impregnates the strength of our brand into our potential client's mind. It really kind of presses it in and fixes it there, in perpetuity. So remember, you've got a wonderful array of visual tools that you can use to get people's attention, to make sure that you maintain their attention by being memorable, and then your job is to emotionally engage them. So let's look at other things that we can use. So we know that text is not one of our favorite ways of processing visual information, but there are different things that you can do with text. So you can use different colors, you can make text bold, you can use different kinds of fonts, you can use different sizes, you can put shadows behind them. There are all sorts of ways that you can make your written message stand out, accompanied by an actual visual picture. So be creative. Don't hesitate to just really lavishly use color, use your brand colors, and make everything your own, make everything distinctively you online. I spoke earlier about how important social proof is. So it's always important to get testimonials from your clients while you're working with them or when you've finished working with them. If you can, get video testimonials, because those are even more powerful, and we know how strong videos are working for us at the moment. And basically, those are a couple of ways that you can stand out in a very, very commoditized market, which we know coaching and training and consulting has become. Another thing that you can do is show interest in your clients. So when you do show up, ask questions. So now, for example, during this video, I could ask the three of you who are on with me, how are you using color to stand out? What are you using to make your brand really distinctive from people who are doing similar work to you? What ways are you creatively getting people's attention? Ask questions and show interest. It's always nice to find out what other people are doing and, how other people are being creative, because, it just adds to your basket of tools and things that you can pull from. And finally, I want to say to you, flirt like a pro. Think of your potential clients as somebody that you are going to almost date online or do a coffee date with. I'm not saying, I'm not recommending if you are a woman who works only with women, but think of the concept of flirting with your client. When you first met your life partner, remember those days when you used to just stare into each other's eyes and you were mesmerized and you wanted to know all about them and they couldn't possibly tell you enough about them, and they had your undivided and rapt attention. Remember those days, and remember that will work with your potential clients as well. You want to wrap them up in your attention. You want to make your potential clients feel like they are the only person in the room with you, and that you are talking directly to them and not hanging on every single word that they say. And I'm not suggesting this from a manipulative point of view, because that's something I'm very much against. But I do want to say your client deserves your absolute undivided attention. They are investing in you, or even if they're a potential client, they are investing time in you. And so for that, the very least you can do is repay it with your attention, with making sure that you find out as much about them as you can, and as much about their challenges and problems, and just really kind of let them soak in your undivided attention, your non-judgmental and undivided attention. So flirt with your client. Think of it as flirting. Think back to when you first met your special person and how it was then. I see there have been some comments here that says, I love color and you're not afraid to use it. Oh, you more than me, girl. I'm like one of those very boring vanilla walls type people, and I just love walking into people's homes where they've adventurously used different colors in different rooms in a stylish way. Alison, you brought scatter cushions for the couch in your brand. Yes, you do have scatter cushions, but they aren't necessarily in your brand colors. They're in rather fluffy, lovable doggy colors. So if Rooster's watching the video, give him a huge big hug and a kiss from me. Alison's got the most gorgeous dogs, and Rooster, her one dog, loves watching TV. I absolutely adore him. But my final kind of tip to you is be consistent. Nothing beats consistency. And it's consistency when it comes to showing up on a regular basis. Edison, doglet cushions, absolutely. So it's consistency when it comes to showing up on a regular basis. It's consistency in terms of how you get your message across. And it's also consistency in terms of how you physically are showing up in all of your online presences. So there shouldn't be a discrepancy, for example, between your LinkedIn professional profile and your Facebook personal profile. And we've all heard those horror stories of how people have lost their jobs because of stuff that they've put onto their personal Facebook profiles, but there should not be a discrepancy. You really should be out there in all places representing your professional brand, even in your personal capacity. So I hope that that has given you some useful, some food for thought and some different things to try. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to our next afternoon coffee together. Take care until then, and make sure you get people's attention. Bye-bye.